What's going on, guys? Welcome to this Python tutorial series number 7. And in this number 7 series, we're actually going to separate 4 topics into 4 different videos. So the first one is going to be list, which is this. And the second one is about tuples. Third one is about sets. And lastly, we have dictionaries. So let's start off with lists. When we talk about lists, this is actually an iterable, just like the string. So let's talk about its characteristics first. Now, a list lets us store multiple items in a single variable. This is also mutable because we can actually modify or change the elements inside the original list. Okay? So it is also ordered, which means the order will always be the same the way we created it. So it depends on how we created the list in the first place. All right. So it also allows duplicate values and it can be indexed. All right. In a list, you can actually store different data types. We have the string, we have the int, we have the float, and boolean. Okay. And actually, you can store different data types simultaneously. So, for example, you have the string while having an integer, while having a boolean, so at the same time. So you can do that. All right. So we have the 2 ways on how to create a list. We have by using the left and right brackets. So the elements here are separated by commas. Okay. So we also have the list constructor. Now this is just the same as the casting of data types in Python. Here we are going to use the list function. Now inside of this parameter, you're going to input the iterable that you want to convert into a list. Okay, so let's talk about its functions. Now let's say I have a name list variable here, and this is going to be a list. So this is left and right brackets. This is the more normal way to be able to create a list in Python. So we have, for example, Rave and then John. Don't forget the commas because they're separated by commas here. So we have Brad. Okay. Now we are tasked to update or change one element inside this list. And basically updating the list by changing the item from the list based on the position specified suggests that it is by using the indexing. Okay, so as we remember, indexing refer to the individual items, so that's what we are going to do. So let's call the name list variable here, which is the list. And now if you use the left and right brackets, here we can actually specify what we are going to change inside this list. Now, let's say I want to change the John. Okay, so as we all know, everything starts with 0 in Python. So this is in the 0th position, John is in the 1st position, and Brad is in the in the 2nd position. All right, so here the John is the 1st position here, and let's say I want to change this to a girl. So let's say Ruby. So if you print the name list variable, so as you can see, it had become Ruby. Now, as you can see, this is indeed immutable because we actually printed the name list, which is the original list, and it had been altered. Okay, it had been changed. Okay, so that's basically how you use the indexing in lists. Okay, so let's proceed to more function-like in lists. Okay, so there's functions in lists. Okay, so we have the sort, and by using the sorted. So if you want to sort your list, so let's just change this to numbers so that you can see the ascending order much clearer. So we have 500, let's say 1,500, 2,000, and 1,000. Okay, so now this is jumbled and it's not ascending or whatever. So here we can actually use 2 functions in sorting a list in Python. We have the sort function and we have the sorted. Now this sort function is actually inside the list function. Now when we talk about list function, it alters the original list every time. Okay, now if you use this sorted, it is actually a built-in function inside Python. It's not inside the list functions. Okay, so when you use built-in functions in a list, you're actually copying something. You're copying the original, and then it will do its algorithm based on its instructions. Okay, so let's use the name list sort. Okay, first, so we have name list dot sort. So if you want to make this list as in the ascending form or ascending order, you can actually just leave this blank. Okay, so the parameters should be just like that. So we have the name list. So as you can see, we are going to print the original list because it will be altered or changed. So we have 500, 1000. Now this is in ascending order. So if you want to reverse this, let's say descending order, we're just going to call the reverse parameter and then let's say true. Okay, so if we have that, that's going to be in descending order. All right, so let's proceed in using the sorted. Now when you use sorted, as I said, it is very different in sort because it copies the list first before it does its algorithm. So we are going to create a variable here. So let's say nameless new and then sorted. And then here inside of this, we can actually call the iterable, which is the list name list variable. So we're not going to print the name list here. Or actually, we're going to print because I want you to see the difference, the comparison between the name list new and name list original list. So as you can see here, the original list has not been altered, but this name list new have been sorted. Okay, because as I said, it copies the original. It does not alter or change the original list, which is very nice because sometimes we don't want to change the original list to be able to do algorithms inside of it. Okay. All right, so let's proceed to reverse. Now, there's a lot of programmers that get confused about this and also the sort. Okay, so when you use this reverse function, it does not have a sorting algorithm. It just reverses the list the way we created it. So as I said, this is how we created it. We just put the 500 there, with 1500, and if you use the reverse, the first element is going to be 1000 now, and then the second element or the position first is going to be in the 2000, and then we have 1500 and 500. Okay, so let's do that. Name list dot reverse. So if you print this name list variable, so as you can see, that had been reversed. Okay, but it's not been sorted in any way. Okay, so you gotta keep that in mind. Okay, so let's proceed to the len. Now this is not a list function. It is actually a built-in function. You use this in every actually component in Python. If you want to get the size of the iterable or you want to get the size of the string, so you can use this. So we can actually directly print this into the print function. So we have the len, and then here you're going to pass the object, okay, that you want to get the size. So here we're going to pass the name list. So if you print this, it's actually 4 elements. Okay, so it is indeed 4 elements here. Okay, so let's proceed to the append. Okay, so now append adds an element at the end of list. So you got to keep in mind that only one element you can pass in this append is possible. Okay, so we have let's say name list dot append. Let's say I want to append 6000, right? So if you print the name list, so you can see we have 6000 at the end of the element. So you can actually put something here like true. They have string. So we have God there. So yeah, this is basically how you use the append. Now it is very powerful when you're dealing with the for loops, while loops, and everything, or actually if statements. So there's a lot of ways to be able to use the append there. Okay, so let's proceed to the extend. Now when we use the extend, it's just the only difference between extend and append is append only append an element, where in extend you can actually append an iterable, which has lots of elements inside of it. So let's say I have a name list too, and I want to actually extend this into the first list. So let's say we have 500, 500, 500, 500. Okay, now we're going to do is to call the nameless dots, and then we're going to use the extend. Now if you use this, we're going to call the iterable. Now make sure that this is an iterable because it will not basically input a single variable because it is for append. Okay, so now we have the 500 at the end because it has been extended. Now there's what we call an empty string. So there may be times that you want to use an initialization in a, yeah, for your list. So you use the empty list. So we have the empty list. So what you just do is to just put left and right brackets. There's nothing fancy here. So if you want to extend something here, so we want to extend the name list inside this empty list. So as you can see here, we have the extend, and then you're gonna call the name list. So if you do this, actually, we're going to print the empty list. So as you can see, we have this now. So we have the 500, 1500, which is initialized as empty string first. Okay, so let's proceed to insert. Now when you use the inserts, there's difference between the insert and the append. So insert adds an element at the specified position. Okay, it's not at the end of the list, actually at the element, but actually it will add an element at the specified position. So let's do that. So we have name list dot, actually just remove that. So we have the insert. Now we're going to call the position. So you want to, let's say I want to add 1250 in between these 1500 and 2000 elements. So you have the 0 first position and then second. So you want to put this in the second position. That's in here. And then this 2000 will be in the third position now. Okay, so let's call 2. And then the item will be 1250. So if we print the name list variable, so as you can see, we have 1250 in between 1500 and 2000. Okay, so let's proceed to the removal of items in elements. So there's 3 here. So we have the pop function, we have the remove function, and clear. Now programmers get confused about this. So when you use the pop, it removes an element at the specified position. So if you use the remove function, removes an element at a specified item. Okay, so let's use this. So we have nameless.pop. Now you're going to specify the position here. So you want to change, or actually remove the 1000. So you call 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be in the third position. So if you print the name list again, so as you can see, we have no 1000 anymore. So if you use the remove, you need to specify the item inside the list. Now, if there's no item inside of the list, and actually in the pop, the same goes here. If Python does not find that specific item, it will throw an error. Okay, so make sure you know the item first before you use the remove function. Now you want to remove the 2000. So as you can see, 2000 has been removed. Okay, so lastly, we have the clear. Now, this is very simple. If you use the clear function, it actually removes all the items from the list. So it will just be an empty string. So name list dot clear. So if you print this name list, so there you go. You have an empty list. And this is basically how you use list in Python. Thank you very much for watching this, and see you guys next time.